So we have our 2020 World's Strongest Man finalists, and I need to amend my original predictions.
Ciao, homie!
So thanks to Barben for this great graphic of who's made it to the finals of the 2020 World's Strongest Man. You see here we have Kevin Ferris, Luke Richardson, Brian Shaw, who everybody expected to make it, JF Caron, who also everybody expected to make it, Ivar Smokstelis, Adam Bishop, Jerry Pritchett, Tom Stoltman, Graham Hicks, and Alexei Novikov. These are our finalists. So what I wanted to do is take my original predictions and redo them now that we know who the finalists are, and give you my predictions of who I think will win Podium and all of the 10 placings. So let's go back and do the math like we've been doing on every other video. So, the events as they've been given to us are as follows. Day 1, which I don't know which it'll be today on the 14th, or there'll be a delay until tomorrow because of the original weather delay at the beginning of the competition, but we have day 1, whether it be today or tomorrow, will be a giant loading medley. So, they did post on the Facebook website, and I don't want to show pictures of that because it was paid. I had to pay $1.99 to get access to that, so there are likely copyright issues there, so I won't show it, but they did show kind of a quick 30-second clip of them preparing the implements, and that giant loading medley looked like they were using forklifts to move around a giant yoke or super yoke with 3 motorcycles on it, 3 dirt bike style motorcycles, 1 on each side and 1 on the back. So maybe it'll be a super yoke into a loading kind of medley of both things. That would be pretty awesome. So we'll see what happens there. I also saw them moving around some anvils, so that might be involved as well. And that's really all they showed. They showed a really quick clip. And then, as always, they'll likely show us at the end of the day at 4:30 p.m. Eastern until 5, the recap of what happened during the day. So I'll try to get this out before that, of course. Then we have a keg toss over a wall, and then we have the log ladder, which we've all heard about, which would be a series of ever-increasing weighted logs all done in succession. So it's not a log for max and then they raise the weight and come back and go through all the competitors again. No, it's like 3 or 4 logs, whatever the case may be. You lift one, you run to the next one, lift that one, and so forth. So it would be a log ladder. And then day 2, which would be either tomorrow or Monday, depending on whether they just do away with the rest day in hopes of trying to end on the same day on Sunday, or they move to Monday. It would be a silver dollar max deadlift. So that's an elephant bar style bar with some flex in it. They actually showed this during the first day where competition didn't happen. Colin Bryce went through and showed the flex in the bar on Facebook, and it has on them what looks like, he called it a train axle. So it looks like a train axle with the type of stainless steel wheels that a train might have on each side. There were 4 of them on each side, each weighing 45 kilos. So for a total, when you add the 40 kilo bar, about 400 kilos, and that's the starting weight, and it would be a max. So they would go through all the competitors, raise the weight by adding more wheels on each side until somebody can't go, and hopefully, we're looking forward maybe to breaking a record. The record is 550 kilos right now. Then there's a Hercules hold, which would be 350 pounds being held in each hand. So each pillar, 350 pounds. And apparently, Colin Bryce also went through an explanation of the Giants Live using a different Hercules apparatus, but the World's Strongest Man one is heavier and has been unchanged in the many years it's been used. So that's the one they're using today, the more difficult one. He actually tried it and didn't hold it very long. And then we have the Atlas stones, which will be 6 stones. Strangely enough, they did 8 stones during the qualifiers and 6 stones here. So the maximum, they showed like all the stones laying in the boneyard waiting to be used. The heaviest one was 210 kilos, so I did the math. That equates to about 462 pounds. For somebody like Tom Stoltman or Brian Shaw, no problem, because they've set records well above that. But it is different lifting 1 stone for a record as opposed to tiring yourself out lifting 6 and then getting to that weight. So we'll see what happens. So let's get on to how I think everybody will do. And so what I tried to do here was take performances in some of the previous qualifying events that might be relevant and use that to predict how everybody would do. So loading medley, for example, there was a different, albeit monster truck part, different kind of loading medley in the qualifiers, but I think that we can use how everybody did there as a gauge, especially because everybody did that medley. So if we were to go back and have a look at what I said about that, so kind of sorry, it was on day 2. So if we look at day 2, we had a loading medley, and, you know, of the guys that are left, we have Luke Richardson in the final, for example, Jerry Pritchett, and you can see the times that they all put up in a loading medley, and unless they're going to miraculously overnight get substantially better at loading medleys, you can use this as a gauge. So I went through all these times, analyzed them, and put them in order of all the people here that are left in the finals, and what I came up with was that Tom Stoltman will win the loading medley, followed by Ivar Smokstelis, number 2. 3 would be Kevin Ferris. He did really well in that loading medley and was super fast. Followed by Alexei Novikov, number 4. And then I have Adam Bishop coming in 5th. Luke Richardson, 6th. JF Caron, 7. Brian Shaw, 8th. He didn't do that well in the loading medley in the qualifiers. But I think he proved to us in the qualifiers that he doesn't have to come in first in everything to advance, right? So we'll keep that in mind, and we'll just do the math and see where the numbers lead us. And so 9th, I had Graham Hicks. And then last, Jerry Pritchett. He didn't do very well in the loading medley. So then we move on to keg toss, and I think I've been pretty outspoken in saying I feel like Brian Shaw is untouchable in keg toss from everything I've ever seen in the past. So I have him winning the keg toss. And then, of course, height matters, right? So I'm going to say Tom Stoltman will come in 2nd. And then I have JF Caron coming in 3rd because he seems to win everything else. Like, he seems to be really super well-rounded and well-trained this year and able to do very well in a variety of different areas. And then I have Luke Richardson coming in 4th. And then I have Jerry Pritchett coming in 5th. I just feel like he's brought a great package this year. And then Ivar Smokstelis, who we've heard people like Big Laws and Brian Shaw say, like, oh, you know, you haven't heard of this guy, but he's really well-rounded. And you think, like, well-rounded is just a generic nice thing to say about somebody, but he's proven to be that. Like, he's doing fairly well in a great variety of events, so I think he'll do well here as well. You know, not at the top, but not at the bottom either. Like, I think he'll have a decent showing. So 6 for him. Novikov I have coming in 7 just because I feel like weight matters here, and although he overcomes that weight limitation in many, many areas, he's not heavy and he's not exceptionally tall here either, so those 2 factors may come back to make it difficult on him, but let's see if he proves me wrong. And then I have Graham Hicks coming in 8, so toward the bottom of the pack. He has a lot of like overhead pressing power, and I don't know if that would translate into overhead throwing power, but his height is really against him here. He's 5'10", I believe, and, you know, has to throw the keg a lot farther than Brian Shaw and Tom Stoltman to get it over the same height. So I have him toward the bottom. Kevin Ferris, I think, from what I've seen, is kind of more, not that he's not a strong guy, a super strong guy, but he's more of a speed athlete than explosive power, so I have him at number 9, and Adam Bishop at 10. Then we move on to the log ladder. And again, with the log ladder, I took what we saw done with the log lift in the qualifiers as a gauge. And so, like, Jerry Pritchett, Graham Hicks, Luke Richardson did exceptionally well in the log lift. And then for the guys that didn't have log lift, I had to try to extrapolate how well they did in the dumbbell clean and press, that dumbbell medley where they had to clean and press a pair of dumbbells, 4 pairs of them, and then go and lift the monster dumbbell 4 reps, all in 75 seconds. I had to kind of extrapolate what they were doing there into log pressing power and try to fit them in. And then what I tried to do too is see, for example, with the log lift, Jerry Pritchett, Luke Richardson, and Graham Hicks all had the same number of reps. They were very even, whereas in the dumbbell clean and press, you had Brian Shaw with 9 reps, Novikov with 8, and then everybody else was substantially lower than that, right? So I had to take that into account too, the disparity between the best people in that event and everybody else. And so you'll see how that manifested itself here. So in the log ladder in the finals, that led me to say that Jerry Pritchett will win the log ladder. And then at number 2, I have Graham Hicks. And then at number 3, I have Luke Richardson. So those are the guys who all kind of tied each other in the qualifier log event. Number 4, I have Brian Shaw coming in because he's a circus dumbbell specialist. He's very good at log, but I wouldn't say people would call him like the record setter or the best in the world at log, whereas Graham Hicks has done some incredible stuff with log. So I have him at 4, JF Caron at 5, because he kind of took the one rep that he had to advance, so we don't know what his max is, and I can't, although he's doing really well in many different areas, I can't assume he's going to win this without seeing it done in the qualifiers. Novikov I have at 6, and then I had Kevin Ferris 7th, Tom Stoltman 8th, Ivar Smokstelis 9th, and I'm getting really proud of my pronunciation of that name now. The more I say it, the more I wonder why it was hard to begin with. And I have Adam Bishop coming in 10th. Then with the deadlift, again, got to give credit where credit is due. Jerry Pritchett not only has come in with a powerful, explosive package this year, but he's one of the best deadlifters of all time. He can't say he's not going to be number 1 or 2 in a deadlift event. And by the same argument, JF Caron, I put it at number 2. Those two guys are either going to win or come in second in the deadlift, in my opinion. And then I have Adam Bishop coming in 3rd. He's done great things with the deadlift recently. Luke Richardson 4th, and I have Brian Shaw 5. And so, again, like if we were to go back to the previous days and look at the deadlift done on day 1 of the qualifiers, we can extrapolate, right? Jerry Pritchett won his group. Kevin Ferris did pretty well, not as well as Jerry, but he did pretty well. Brian Shaw did well, but not near what Jerry Pritchett did. So you can kind of extrapolate that out, and I've done all this math ahead of time to see the disparity, again, amongst the winners of different groups, because you can do well enough to win your group, but now in the finals, when you're put together with everybody, if you were way off of the leader, that's going to show. So I've done all that math ahead of time, so I don't have to bore you with actually doing it while we're here on the air. And so I come up with Brian Shaw 5, Novikov 6, Graham Hicks 7, Smokstelis 8, Tom Stoltman 9, and Kevin Ferris coming in 10th place there again. Maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully he does better, but I feel like he's more of a speed, an explosive speed athlete more so than brute power. Hercules hold. As everybody was saying, you've probably heard this 100 times. We all wish we would have seen Mark Felix do this because he's been, setting crazy records for Hercules hold recently, beating his own records over and over, and so we would have loved to see him do this. I actually read on Barbend, so shout out to Barbend for, again, filling in all the gaps that I'm not seeing told to us on Facebook, and we'll definitely credit Barbend and Fitness Volt in the description for helping fill these gaps, but I read on Barbend that they're going to let Mark Felix do a Hercules hold to try to break his own record, even though he didn't make the finals and it has no bearing on winning World's Strongest Man. So that's kind of cool, like a cameo appearance type of thing, or guest appearance type of thing for a guy who's really specialized in one particular area. So that'll be great. So again, I have Brian Shaw coming in first here, so you might ask why. Well, Brian Shaw bought his own Hercules hold apparatus and has been training on it at home, and I haven't heard anybody else do that, so it's got to be a huge advantage. He has a great grip already. He's done countless amazing feats of grip strength, like on The Strongest Man in History, where he held two 45-pound plates together with pincher grip and picked them up off the ground the hard way, like with the lips facing in toward each other. So he was holding the smooth sides of both. So he has incredible grip strength and has done specialized training on this, so I think he's going to win it. I have Novikov coming in second here. I have Jerry Pritchett coming in third. Again, super impressed with what Jerry's brought to the table this year. Then I have Kevin Ferris coming in fourth. And by the way, you might ask, how did I come up with that? Well, again, I went back to the qualifiers, and what's the grip strength kind of event that has been done so far, the farmer's walk. And so farmer's walk relies a lot on grip strength, and again, everybody did the farmer's walk, so it was kind of easy to put together how everybody did in this event and try to come up, like Jerry Pritchett did incredible in this event, 52 meters. Kevin Ferris did as well. Novikov was even better than that. So kind of use that as a gauge to come up with these numbers. Okay, so then we have JF Caron 5, Tom Stoltman 6, Smoxtelis 7, Adam Bishop 8th, Luke Richardson 9, and Graham Hicks 10th. Based on the farmer's walk, it's a different type of grip, but again, we have to go with the closest anecdotal evidence that we have. And then we go to Atlas Stones, of course, and Tom Stoltman is the best in the world at this right now, so he's going to win the Atlas Stones, no doubt. And Brian Shaw is the second best in the world at Atlas Stones right now, so he's going to come in second. JF Caron I have third. I think Jerry Pritchett has that kind of explosive power and just enough height to get the stones up easily, 4. And that's why I have Graham Hicks coming in 10th. I think he's just not tall enough to... he's got to raise the stones a lot higher than some of the other people to even get him on the platform, so I have him coming in last. And then we have, in 5th place, Adam Bishop. 6 for Novikov, 7 for Smoxtelis, Luke Richardson 8, Kevin Ferris 9th. And so we come up with our totals, and I've sorted them so you can now see them in order, and you can see who I have on my podium. And again, not because he's the most popular choice, but because the mathematics actually told me so, and because he seems to win and come in just high enough in the places where he needs to. Brian Shaw is going to win his 5th World's Strongest Man, according to my mathematics. He is going to win. I now have Jerry Pritchett, who I originally did not even have as a finalist, coming in 2nd, and JF Caron coming in 3rd, who I believe, I have to go back and look, I believe I had him originally 2nd, and Luke Stoltman 3rd, who didn't make the finals. So that's your podium. Brian Shaw, Jerry Pritchett, JF Caron, Tom Stoltman 4, Alexei Novikov 5, Luke Richardson 6, Ivar Smoxtelis, who none of us ever heard of, coming in 7th, having a really strong showing in the World's Strongest Man, and I'm going to definitely follow going forward. Adam Bishop 8, Kevin Ferris 9, and Graham Hicks 10th place. That's my final placing. So, how did I do the scoring? I don't know if they're going to do it this way, but the way I did the scoring was first place in an event gets you 10 points, second gets you 9, and so forth until 10th place gets you a point, or if you don't complete it, you get 0, which we're not expecting from anybody in the finals. The other interesting thing is, you'll see I've color-coded some of these dark green and some in olive color. Dark green were group winners, and the olive color were folks that were either 2nd or 3rd and had to battle it out in the Atlas Stones to make it into the finals. So it's interesting that even after doing the math, my top 3 guys were guys that won their groups in the qualifier. So a bunch of insights that hopefully you find interesting. I certainly did. Thanks again for joining me, and let's keep tuning into Facebook to see what actually happens and see how well these predictions come true. We'll catch you again next time, and I'll put out some more videos keeping you up to date on all this late-breaking news and all these predictions and results. Catch you again next time. So if you like this video and haven't done so yet, please consider subscribing using that button right there. And also, stay tuned for some other videos that you might love blooping up right there. This one is the one that YouTube thinks that you will like the best, and this one is the one that I think you will like the best. As always, share this with everyone, and until next time, ciao, homie.